Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am Erin Moriarty. If you're new here, I used to do a lot of Sims content. This is just sort of a one-off video, not a return to form, but I had so much that I had to say, absolutely had to make a video, and I hope you all like it. One of the biggest topics of discussion in the Sims community is, will the next Sims game, or Sims 5, whatever they choose to call it, will that be online? Will it have multiplayer? Is it going to be an MMO? This is something that has been a topic of discussion in the community for a couple of years now, with the general consensus being that the company seems to want to go that direction. The fans, on the other hand, do not. Now, back in the before times, I used to work on a user experience team trying to make software work as best as it can for both the end user's needs and the company's needs. So I approached this as a kind of challenge. If I was working for EA and my bosses were pushing to make an online version of my game, because that's where the money is nowadays, how would I do that in a way that doesn't alienate my most dedicated player base, the fans that have been playing the game for 20 years on a single player basis? And I think that I've actually come up with a multiplayer solution that, if EA implemented it, would be so much bigger than The Sims has ever been before. And it would do so in a way that probably wouldn't hurt the fans that much. They just need to devote the right resources to developing it properly in the first place. And I think they can do it. So why don't you settle down, listen up, and I'll tell you what my idea is, how The Sims 5 can have online capabilities and not suck. First things first, above all else, no matter what you do to the game, there has to be a single player mode that is not penalized in any way if that player does not want to be online. That player should not need to be on the internet to get to access the game. There should not be any features that are just restricted to online only play, because that seems to be the #1 way that players are alienated, when the single player experience suffers so you can have a decent or good multiplayer experience. That is not going to fly with The Sims. The Sims still has to provide a solid, comprehensive single player experience. That's the biggest rule. Literally anything that you force upon your audience and do not give them an out, they are going to dislike. People, players, customers, they don't like being told, this is how you have to use our software. You have to be open for the variety of different ways that different players use The Sims, which is pretty robust. There's a lot of different play styles and a lot of different ways. Like, some people play very realistic, some people have a lot of mods and they have a lot of fantasy aspects. Some people are content creators, some people make machinimas out of it. It's very fascinating how many different ways people use The Sims. And a lot of people use it in like a very therapeutic method, which means that they're very sensitive to having it effed with. So what is the goal? The goal is to take all of the existing play styles and to find a way for this new Sims multiplayer to help every player, regardless of their play style, play better. It's also a great idea to have it expand to new play styles that people didn't consider before. And this is why I think I've come up with something that's really great, because it fulfills both of those conditions. So what are they actually going to do? First up, they're going to hire a really good character design artist. I'm talking like somebody from Pixar or Nintendo or what have you. Key, you want to create a sim in a way that is both aesthetically pleasing and also allows people to have a lot of flexibility over the range of characters that they can create.
Editing Erin here. So there are good ways and bad ways to simplify a design, and there's some companies that do it well and there's some companies that do it poorly. Personally, I think that EA's simplified design for Sims 4 is not particularly compelling. A lot of people complained about it when it first came out. One company that I think is doing really well with this is Disney with Dreamlight Valley. Their new character generator is pretty much exactly what I'm thinking about.
You also want it to be very technologically smooth. You don't want it to be like really buggy as hell. This part is going to be like just to making this whole multiplayer thing work. When players play the game, they will go into create a sim as they normally did, and they will create their avatar, their sim or Sims. And when they create that character, there will be an option for Simstagram. And when they click on it, that character will have a Simstagram account created for them. So basically, my whole idea is to make Simstagram a reality. And that is really just kind of the elevator pitch for this, and it is genuinely so much more. And the reason that I'm so gung-ho on this character generator is because I see how things like Bitmoji and other customized avatar softwares, how they can go viral really quickly because people create with them in a way that is more relatable and genuine. What I'm thinking is that if Create a Sim is extremely extremely robust at making characters that look extremely good. And you have this Simstagram social media component alongside it. You will get a range of creators that have a completely different like idea of creativity that appeals more to like the younger generations and the TikTok generation as well. So what is Simstagram actually going to look like? So from within The Sims, you're going to have automatic updates that you can control by a toggle. So like if your Sim is married, have you prompt to take a screenshot or something that it can automatically send to your feed, or any other huge life achievements in your Sim's life will automatically be going to their Simstagram. That way, if you don't want to have to do this manually, but you still want to participate in that side of things, you already have that. And I know just on a base level that there's going to be a huge player base that is interested in this just because of the number of players that share their Sim family's updates on Facebook or Instagram or Tumblr. Like if that was built into the game, and Tumblr's a really good point, because I think that their UI and the way that their posts work is how I view Simstagram as work. You should be able to have a variety of content types that you're allowed to push out, like text, pictures, short videos, longer videos. If you also have a recording ability in the game, like a good video recorder, you could turn The Sims into the machinima platform, and then you'll have people that are interested in playing it just from that angle. And like virtual influencers and VR streamers and things like that, all of those kind of like avatar between you and the digital world, that's getting bigger, like way bigger. And I think if EA really got into that market and tapped into that market, they could get some huge money from people that would have never played The Sims before. Now here's where it gets spicy. It's accessible two ways. Once in The Sims, you have the Sims interface, but then you have just like Simstagram.com or whatever they choose. So people that don't play The Sims can go to the Simstagram platform to look for that content as well. And you kind of almost make it like a Pinterest. You make it the Pinterest for people who are looking to storytell using a digital avatar. And I mentioned machinimas, and I really think that they should, like a secondary focus, like once they get this released, the stretch goal should honestly be to have The Sims have its own machinima recording platform, because there are so many people that make Sims content, and every time I see people making content on, The Sims in TikTok, I see tons of people that are like, what game is that? Like they're not even aware of how robust The Sims is. And this is a way that you can further make things robust, because obviously you want to have content stay on Simstagram, but you're definitely going to make it so people can download that content, or just like have a direct link to share it directly on all of the other social media platforms. So people see a TikTok of these like really cool looking characters, and they're like dancing along to the newest trends, and like, well, what are these characters about? What are these characters for? Now, I don't think that it should just be Simstagram. I think that Simstagram should be a big part of it. I think Simstagram should be the part that funds this, basically. But I also think that they should have things like party instances where you can invite some of your friends, or like a set number of people that like via a set ID or something like that. So you can either control who comes to your party, or you can just let random people come into your party and have like 8 to 10 people come to a party instance where you all just like hang out. I kind of see these working a lot like the dream instances in Animal Crossing, and
So this got cut off a little, let me explain. So basically, imagine anything in The Sims 4 that's currently like a party event that you invite other Sims over for. Imagine those as like a dream instance in Animal Crossing that you can invite friends or strangers or people you're streaming with or whatever to your instance. Sorry, I have a cough drop in my mouth.
I think Animal Crossing is a really good example of how EA should approach this. The level of single playerness versus multiplayerness, and the setting up instances rather than having people just like live come over to like screw up your crap. And I want to get into CC more in a little bit. I have a couple of ideas on CC. We'll get to that. In addition to having like events, I would love to see things like fashion shows and like building competitions where like upload screenshots of your current character, or like a model of your current character and like a model of your house or whatever. And you have a group of people at Sims, or maybe make game changers responsible for, or whatever they're calling them now, for judging that, because I think that could be a really cool way to get people involved and looking to better their skills. There are a ton of people that love to build, and I think if there was some sort of financial reward to it, it would be like a cool way to acknowledge just how many players there are that are like super into the game. And my idea with the builds and the character contests and things like that is the builds, you can have a neighborhood set up that people take their Sims to and go tour all of the builds to vote on them. Or for like the fashion competition, you'll upload your Sim and then it'll have like an animation where it like walks the catwalk and things like that. And you can take screenshots and upload those to your Simstagram and track that progress that way. And now I do think that some level of child safety is definitely necessary. So I think that some events and features should be 18 plus, whereas some are all ages, and the ones that are all ages are probably going to need some sort of moderation. So I'm aware that there's going to need to be some sort of monetization to this. They're going to have to make money off of it. And I think that one of the good ways that they could do that is by partnerships with clothing brands. Fashion brands can have their clothes in the Sims, so people's Sims can wear them and display like the latest Gucci collection on Simstagram, or have your Sim dancing in the latest Fendi or Prada or whatever, and then upload that to TikTok. I also think that EA should more formalize their involvement with custom content creators. I think that you should have custom content creators there should be an approval process that they go through, and so long as the things that they're posting are not stolen content from other games or from like real clothing companies, you know, they're not like lewd or what have you, that they should just be able to set up a market in the game that maybe EA gets 10%. I would say no more than 10 to 15% is like a hosting fee max. I do think that any amount of online play, they're going to limit the custom content that is there. They're not going to want to put children with somebody who just has dicks all over their character. It's not gonna fly. So I think rather than having it be like no CC, having it be there's approved CC, you can purchase it when you are in an instance with another character. Your character avatar is just like rendered as a simplified image and sent to that person's computer, so you don't have to send all of the custom content packages back and forth, because I understand the technical limitations of that.
It occurs to me that some people don't use CC, so I wanted to give a little bit of an explanation. If you use CC and you try to share a Sim that has CC on it with somebody who does not have that CC, the Sim will not have any of that stuff on it. In order to share that character, you have to share all of the files for all of the Sim CC, and that may be like dozens of files that may be rather large depending on the person. Basically what I'm suggesting is that instead of sending every single file to the people that you're going to be online with, basically making one render of just that character in all of their stuff, and then it would just be basically like a almost flat file that would transfer a lot easier in quick order.
But like, I think there's ways that you can set up CC markets that help not only get custom content creators a steady income for the work that they are doing, but also fund a robust social media experience that is Simstagram. If EA doesn't want to be the middleman in that situation, they can have like maybe like a hash list of known good custom content files where they are by trusted providers and they aren't explicit, so that way they can kind of allow CC without like officially financing it or setting up a market for it. Obviously, I think there's probably going to be like expansions and things like that that are going to be able to be sold to fund this, but it wouldn't surprise me if they had to do some sort of either microtransaction or subscription fee. And again, this is why I'm like, there cannot be a penalty for single players. Single players have to still be able to play the game the way they're used to, and crucially, should still be able to use the custom content that they usually do. Two biggest feels with an online version of The Sims are that custom content is going to go away and that microtransactions are going to come. And I think with kits, we're kind of already proving that microtransactions are becoming a thing within Sims, and I would expect an online Sims to look more like Sims Mobile when it comes to how things get paid for. Just because I feel like Sims Mobile seems very profitable. Based on the level of updates it gets, it's got to be making money. I think the biggest issue and the biggest reason that EA is not going to do something like this is that EA really does not like actually doing more for the money they get. They really try to get the most money possible for the least labor output, and because of that, I suspect that we won't see that. But honestly, I think something like this could work in a really interesting way. I think it could really compel a lot of people to start creating digital video that, you know, people that wouldn't have otherwise made machinima start making machinima. I think it could also help with people that are doing like VR type streaming characters at this point. I think there's a lot of realms in which this would interest players and the company. Let me know what you think in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. And if you watched this far, you must like something, so please like, comment, and subscribe.